Yo, what's up? This is Shadow Rock and ProfoWon of the Floor Gangs and Knuckleneck Tribe.
And aloha kako. This is Jasoul from BTR Breakin and Eternal Style Crew.
And you're watching the Gearhdz Breakcast, the podcast that hacks culture and movement. Saturday, October 1st. How you doing, Jay?
Incredible, man. Feeling like a million. Had a productive week. Got some good things coming up next week. Feeling great, man. How you feeling, pro?
All right. Just chilling. Getting ready for this battle tomorrow. I'm gonna battle with my man Jerry from Floor Gangs USA. So we're gonna see what happens, man. Gonna try to see if I could test out some of these new moves I've been working on.
Yee, the scientific process, man. I love it. What jam? There's a jam on a Sunday, huh?
It's called the Get Down, I think. It's in Livermore. It's like at a Filipino festival. So I'm gonna eat some food after. Basically, I'm gonna do my rounds and eat some food. That's what I look forward to.
Yeah, you getting some pinakbit and some pancit or what?
Yes, sir. Not pinakbit. Maybe probably like pancit for sure. Lumpia, longanisa, tocino.
That's why you ain't got the air fryer just yet, bro. You got to get that plant power, bro. It's in the.
I don't believe in that. I believe in meat.
You believe in meat or you believe in me? What'd you say?
Meat.
Oh, yeah. Meat. No. I'm just saying. I'm not saying leave it out. I'm saying add. That's all.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta add.
Fruits every day for sure. I've been doing that. I think that's been helping out a lot, actually. Fruits every day.
Your body is smart. Your body knows.
Oh yeah.
Knows what.
Yeah, and chocolate. Lots of chocolate.
I suppose so. You don't do coffee, so.
I do coffee.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, this is coffee, but I drink it black.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, cheers. I drink it black.
So how's your body feeling going into tomorrow?
Not bad. I mean, I'm probably going to carb up tonight. Hydrate and carb up tonight. So
why?
So that way I have energy tomorrow. So that's okay. So here's like a little thing I do, ritual. So before competition, I usually carb up the night before and hydrate the night before. A lot of superfoods like watermelon the night before, maybe a little bit of liquid IV, and then carb up, and then have a light breakfast. The battle's around 2 p.m. So I usually don't. I fast till 2, but then because I have a battle day tomorrow, I'm actually gonna have a little bit of breakfast. Then I bring snacks for the event. So the snacks being like nuts or something like that, maybe some grains, and a banana. And what I do is after the round I pop it in my mouth.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. So just nuts or whatever for each round I go up. That's when I have just a little bit. Like literally a little bit, tiny bit, not a lot, right? Nothing to make you feel full. So just to use that. And then I already do intermittent fasting, and I do intense workouts without eating until after. So my body's already used to feeding off its own supply, its own fats. So when I'm introducing this thing, I have extra energy now. You know what I mean? For the day of, because it's not used to that. It's not used to getting replenished. So, with nutrients the day of. So
how's that working? You feel energized in between rounds?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like that gives me because it's used to starving, you know what I'm saying? Like it's used to using nothing for fuel compared to I actually have these little segments of fuel. So it's a little hack for you guys. And I've been doing it for the last I've been intermittent fasting for the last 4 years. So yeah, it's been doing pretty good to do that during battle. Yeah, because you never know. It's 12-hour days sometimes, right? So, which I would love to change. I'm tired of the 12-hour jams. Doesn't make sense. We're still thinking small time. I don't like that.
You don't like building and hanging out with the community outside of the actual dance itself at a jam? In a jam setting?
I could do that at a bar.
Half the community is not bar appropriate.
Or eat something.
Fair enough.
Break bread, literally break bread. Like I don't have to dance with it, dude. I'm getting old, man. I'm getting tired of it. Mr. Wiggles doesn't even hang out no more. He just stays in the hotel room.
Damn.
Sorry to put you out there, Wiggs, but I've seen it. Went to Singapore. He didn't. He just was at the jam. That's it. And then after that, just go home. Go to the hotel room. I'm starting to get to that level.
And Mr. Wiggles. Speaking of which, we definitely need to talk about him in regard to the topic.
Yeah, for sure. But before we do that, we gotta do some house cleaning. First of all, 65% of you are watching the content, but you are not subscribed. But we thank you for basically viewing and helping the channel grow. But you can help out even more is if you like this video, then subscribe. That way we can. That way you can see the content and see the channel grow, because we want to begin to monetize, obviously. So please click the like, subscribe, and hey, if you want to share it, share it, and if you want to comment, because clicking and subscribing is for free. It doesn't cost you a thing, right? And you help us out.
There you go, people. That's the reason. These are the numbers. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, man.
Support your boys.
Yes, sir. And of course, give a shout out to zenworld.com. Zenworld CBD. Jay, what can you tell us about CBD?
CBD is an acronym for a long scientific word that I cannot pronounce at the moment. But yeah, it's good for your performance journey. I use it every day. I love the topical one that the roll-on, like I said, right there, what Profo is holding is the ingestible version. So you're essentially creating a sandwich coming in from the inside out with the ingestible and the outside in, giving you a comprehensive recovery approach to add to your training. I just spoke to my boy the other day. He works in the industry. He works 4 days a week, and it's in the heat, the Las Vegas heat. He's running all day. Probably he works at a pool, a day pool. So he does bottle service and all that, and it's the size of a football field. And he's just putting in work like that. But he is training as well. He's trying to do 4 days a week, which everybody has their own rhythm, their own cycle, their own resilience within training, and then balancing life as well. But this is something that I had a talk with him. I did not introduce any type of recovery methods, but I might suggest this. He's been telling me he's been training and feeling fatigued when he goes. So what it sounds like is he's at the point of diminishing returns, right? When you're training and you're like, oh man, I can't. A lot of the flow, the patterns that we do, it requires timing, right? Like I tried to tell him, hey, go slow. But when I think about it, like certain things, it's easier to kind of just ride. Once you break inertia and you start momentum, you start movement in a direction or whatever, to stop it and control it and slow it down, it takes more effort, essentially, right? So to kind of go with the speed. So, that's quite a little bit of a tangent, but something to take into account when you're going slow. Right. Anyway, CBD, right?
Yeah, let's so go to the website zenworld.com, use the promo code Gearhdz and get 15% off of whatever product, the roll-on or the topical roll-on or the ingestible one, and it helps with anxiety, rest, and recovery. And why not get a discount while you do that? But honestly, hey, let's keep talking. Actually, I want to keep talking about what you were talking about just now.
Yeah, let's go. It's a Saturday.
Yeah, man.
Coffee. We're here, bro.
You're talking about the rhythm and momentum and diminishing returns. I think honestly, like I want to talk about that real quick because I think that's a young man's mistake. I think practicing 4 days a week is maybe too much, in my opinion.
How young?
What?
I started when I was 10 and I was going 7 days a week and I got windmills in, the matter of months. I got a lot of moves.
So the key, I think, to me is like, are you just practicing to have in the hours, or are you having productive practice? That's the key. And I think the most productive, in my opinion, the most productive is slower. If you could do it slower, it's almost like the Tim Ferriss 4-hour week, right? 4-hour work week. Like it's the same thing. It's to practice smart versus just multiple practices, right? How do you maximize each practice? And I don't think a lot of people do that. I think they just put in the hours, but those hours aren't really hours of like, because there's hours, if you go to a session, that's at least 20 minutes to say hi to everyone in the session, right? And then that's another 10 minutes of having conversation. You're really getting, in a 2-hour practice, you're maybe getting 45 minutes of real practice, and that's still not optimal. That's still just maybe moving. That's still just warming up. That's still just so
that's an interesting thing as well.
Yeah.
I went to practice at Alchemy. I've been training there a little more just because of their scheduling fits my scheduling. And
right.
Rock Force, by the way, they're training for Battle of the Year. They're representing the U.S. Got my Battle of the Year poster right here. Shameless shout out. Shameless flex right there. And yeah, they came in. I was like, oh shit, I didn't see Dietrich's in a long time, rapping with Kareem and all them. It's kind of a crazy squad, but I realized it's like, man, I have like 45 more minutes here. I should be practicing, but the whole catch up. Would you recommend going in and be like, hey, don't talk to me?
I say, okay, so this is my thing. So this is some life hack shit or practice hack shit. Depends on what you're practicing. A public practice should be just public practice. It's a tester. That's sparring, in my opinion. Anytime you go to a session, that's sparring. So if you do, for instance, Muay Thai or boxing, let's just take those two elements. There's such thing as pad work and there's such thing as sparring. Your pad work shouldn't be at the session because you could do that by yourself. So for instance, drills.
Why are you
creating? You don't even need music for drills. For technique, you don't need music. You don't need people. You just maybe need a camera and just the time put in for drilling movements, combos, right? At a session, 45 minutes, 2 hours, you can get in like 5-10 rounds of going back and forth, of pressure testing, right? People are watching you. Those are two different types of sessions right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then to drill at a session doesn't make sense. You're wasting your time. Unless it's because you need the pressure testing, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I suggest if you go to a session, you only need 45 minutes.
Carl Paoli really classified and organized this idea very well in regards to growth and progression, right? And whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah.
He said practice is where you're working out the ideas and all that. And training is when you're implementing the ideas. And then you actually have the, what's the last phase of it? I forgot, but basically the application of the idea you developed, how you fine tune the motor control for it, the connectivity, the mind and body connectivity in relation to a dance, right? Rhythmic movement, and then how you apply it, whether it's a performance, a battle, or whatever. So that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's a very, very neat way to formulate your training approach, right?
Yeah. Because if you don't have my challenge is you're 4 days a week. If it's driven by music, it's driven by too much emotion. And you're not going to get productivity from that. That's sparring. Anytime there's music, that's sparring because you're interacting versus like you can optimize technique by yourself, right? That's your pad work. That's with the coach. You can't spar. Every session can't be sparring. Or every training shouldn't be sparring because you're only going to get as good as you're going to get. You're never going to go beyond that. Beyond that is self-reflective, and there's no music and analyzing everything. You can't do that in a sparring session necessarily. Maybe after if you filmed it. So I'm just going by fight rules. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going by fight rules.
Well, the first rule of that is you don't talk about it.
That's Fight Club. This is not fight rules.
So, Pro, give me an example, bro. Give me an example of how you use, this segmented approach of what we're talking about. So, give me what's the last move you did.
So there's three different things, right?
Yeah.
So one is your conditioning. So that's a totally different. So that's not necessarily practice. That's like conditioning of like, can I, I'm gonna use the kettlebell, and this is all gonna be weight training day, right? Because every sports has that. They have a day where they weight train. You can go to like football, you could go to basketball. They all have a weight day. So that should be separate. You should have a weight day. You should have one, right? Stretching, weight day, that's a day. Then your next is pad work. You're just working pads. You're working technique. Your flare technique, your air flare technique, your 90 technique, all these different techniques are drilling. You're drilling different movements. Drilling.
Okay, so hold on.
Just memorization. Quick. Yeah.
Before we move on, so the first day you're saying conditioning, right? We want control in mobility and range of motion.
Yes. And strength training, all that stuff. Yeah.
Control in range of motion, aka mobility. Right?
Yes.
That's what we're training for. So how conscious are we on a general level of how we're formulating our muscle fibers, aka, refining movement patterns that is oriented towards what breaking is? Because breaking is pretty darn dynamic, right? There's a lot more going on than what you typically see. And when you say weight training, we're loading our bodies, right? We're creating resistance, right? AKA strength.
Yeah.
Right. When we overcome the resistance, that's the definition of strength, right? So it's just something to be aware of, for our listeners.
Yep.
Something I remind myself all the time. Hey, this movement pattern that I'm doing, how I get out of my car, how I get out of my bed, how I sit down, okay, how I do the accessory type training. What is it doing to my body in relation to dynamic movement, rotational movement?
Right.
Very, very important to think about. Anyway, continue. So conditioning, so your body is able to safely and effectively.
Right. Every sport has it. Like, when you start gymnastics, you start out with that. You start out with these conditionings before you even do any movements, any crazy movements like handstands and stuff like that. Then you go for technique, right? Your technique day. And that has nothing to do with pressure testing. You're able to create the muscle memory from these movements. That's a separate day. That should be just a separate day. And you don't need anyone. You could just do it. Maybe you and someone else, and you could just have a camera. This is your form. This is your like, this is not even creative process. This is just, can I get these moves, right? Can I get these moves? Can I get these movements down, locked into my muscle memory where I'm not thinking about it? You know what I mean? So that's a separate practice.
Well, more specific, muscle memory is how we create the chain of muscles that connect to each other, right? To execute a pattern or even a static position, right?
Yep.
A lot of the times we're one activation away from completing a movement.
Yeah.
And finding ease of movement with that. And that's where style comes in, from ease of movement, right?
Yep.
So you're saying the muscle memory, like, are these things that you work through? Give me an example of the last move you practiced throughout the week, or even sequence.
Air flares. Let's say air flares. Air flares, right? I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to like do it from static positions, do it from a spin drills, I'm trying to figure out the feeling and the right activation and the right timing and rhythm. I can't, and I noticed when I did this at a session, I would never get it. There's too many things going on. I can't concentrate. I can't understand my proprioception because there's too many things going on.
Do you ever trace your kinetic chain, when you're doing this, what you're talking about? You're talking about proprioception, activation. You go slow. Excellent. Right? Breaking down the different segments.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you go, okay, here's the ground. I feel it. You can't see my fingers. I feel it. Here's the force coming up. I have my body weight, my mass that's going down towards it. Do you try and trail the contraction and how it connects and goes all the way to
as much as I can.
That's the process right there.
As much as I can. And that's the whole thing. That's why I can't do it at a session. I'm too distracted. I can only do that in silence. I can only do that when it's like super concentrated.
So here's an idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about hacking, and I love it. You're talking about
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay, hold on. The typical way and a viable way to do it, little risk, a lot of risky, I should say, right?
Mm-hmm.
How we learned is by implementing timing, being guided by a timing metronome, aka a beat.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we're trying to add speed to a movement pattern. Dangerous, super dangerous, right? We all get injured.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah.
the timing does guide people into creating the activations. Now I gotta tighten because I gotta find a way to meet this timing, whether it's conscious or subconscious. If you're trying to hit a beat or you're just like in the rhythm of the funk track, you know what I mean? That is the other way. That is the archaic way. It is a way, but
it's not the best way.
Yeah,
it's not the best way, because even when you play music, you don't learn like that. You know what I mean? It's
but
slow.
Subconsciously.
Nah, that's the problem. You have to always be conscious. That's what will create better results, is consciousness in every little movement.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
How do we raise awareness in that?
You take away the romanticism.
How do we make thinking
cool? You take away the romanticism. You take away the freaking. You have to be robots.
I don't want to.
Yes. No, you have to. You have to.
But that means
I'm coming from a deficit. I should be proof of it.
So you're telling me the Batman approach, right? Tactical rather than the
tactical. This has nothing. This is okay. The art comes from the session, not from the science.
Well, it is.
The science part of training is not romantic. It's robotic. It's boring. But that's why I didn't say take away the improvisation. That's all in the session. You still need the session. You just shouldn't be going to sessions 4 times a week. You should be going to a session maybe once a week, maybe twice max. You still need the social thing. You still need all that's important. Well, because it's like this. It's like this. It's like this. If you're going to a boxing, and it's again like fighting. If I were to just do pad work the whole time, when I'm going to go against Tyson, it's not going to work. I'm going to need to spar.
Yep.
But you don't spar at every session. You don't spar at every training. You don't like football players don't go scrimmaging every practice is not a scrimmage. A scrimmage is once in a while, or maybe once a week, maybe twice a week. Because then you have to pressure test. That's the whole point of session. A session is a pressure test. You still need it, but it shouldn't be your predominant way of technique.
For sure. The pressure test is the truth test, right?
Yeah. To see if everything is applied now. But it can't be everything because you're not going to gain as much. You're just not. That's like if I spar every time, you're going to have one good punch. And we need to spar different people, right? And that means different sparring. I equate to music, right? Different music, different thing. But you need the technique first. The whole thing is need the technique first to get there. And this is the hack versus the problem is it's this emotional process because we're artists. Yeah, you don't want to sharpen up your tool brush. You don't want to sharpen up your brush. You don't want to sharpen up your tools because it's going to take longer from the emotion with music. That's big. Again, you're so addicted to the pressure tester and the validation from the outside versus the validation of your body giving you validation. Your body gives you validation through those slow technique practices. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna get way more from that than from like, okay, did everyone see that? Did you see that? Did you see that? Because that's what a session is. Did you see that?
Oh, the dopamine from that though, huh?
Exactly. And it's blinding because then, yeah, exactly. You get an adrenaline boost, all that stuff because of the pressure test. But do you really get the technique? The technique is when you come from like a dead state and there's no emotion. If you can hit it with no energy whatsoever, you got it. You got it. And then you could pressure test it. Now it's like, okay, the nerves is actually telling me something else. That's why it's just like, man, you know how many people got fat over COVID? They didn't really want to practice. They wanted the social interaction. So that goes again. We are built on this need from people when you need your body to execute.
Yeah, I do.
I'm very passionate about this because everyone has a, they need a social validation when it's like, no, you don't. Not yet, not in training. You need that after. You could do it. You need the pressure testing. That's why I say I'm not saying that you don't need the sessions. You just don't need to go so much. Okay. You could actually, this is all within the Tim Ferriss, using your time wisely, right? Like using your time wisely versus like you wait, like I said, you go to a session, it's 2-hour session. You're only really getting a good dance in 45 minutes because you're saying what's up to everyone. And then you're still watching everyone. Like, it's not really, you're really like, that's a lot of time wasted versus when you could be like what you're saying, feeling, you could feel the ground and you could feel this type of stuff. You're gaining this proprioception, this awareness from when you could be by yourself. And then a session, 45 minutes, you say what's up to everyone. All right, you still have 45 minutes. Let's get these rounds in. All right, take your water sip and then go again. And all right, cool, dope. It's pressure tested. I know it's working and I know it's not. Then you go back to the lab again. Mm-hmm. And then you do it again and then you recycle and then, all of a sudden you've grown a skill set versus like, you don't know. Like, okay, the reason why I know this is because I noticed that when I did used to train like that, dude, it would take me months to get a move because I'm always around people. Took me months. Why? Because I'm distracted. Why? Because I'm listening to the music. Why? Because
social media seems to be the middle ground with that, right? Like you can film yourself by yourself and you can still get that that social element, right? About
yes.
You post it, okay, cool.
Yep.
You get feedback, you get props, whatever it is, right?
It's not as real time, right? It's not as real time, but what you get is you get more time of self-reflection, which I think is good. I think it's important. And I don't think a lot of people do it enough. There's and I get it. Like, I was telling Carl, like, it's Carl Paoli. Yeah, like
who's Carl Paoli?
He wrote Freestyle, the book. Come on, man! If you've been watching Gearhdz, you know who Carl Paoli is.
Carl Paoli. Everybody look him up and follow him.
Yeah, if you watch Gearhdz enough, we've mentioned that guy way more than once.
Master Carl.
And I was we had a podcast. I got to do it again Monday, but because the sound was bad. But on his freestyle thing,
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Podcast, so we talked about breaking is the only craft that's built on uber masculinity and a fatherless, which a lot of creators are from fatherless childhood, where we need this masculine validation.
What about MMA?
What about MMA? They're fighting. You know what I mean? It's just if a true fighter could be just technique, right, and a fearlessness, not this. I have to prove my manhood through movement.
Name one. Go ahead and name one fighter. Let's talk about that.
Okay, GSP.
Okay. Did GSP not get bullied as a kid and had an emotional trauma?
I don't know.
He did. The answer is yes. So I'm just saying, man.
I'm just saying, like, it's like if we go to like most of the, because there's any other art, not just fighting. Again, skating, don't care about biters. Tricking, don't care about bitings.
How do you know?
Because they don't. They're always, because Rodney Mullen made up half of the moves in skating, and he loves it when people use his moves. And if someone did it before him, oh, well, I'm going to flip it. That's Rodney Mullen.
So when you're making that kind of money, it's like, oh, yeah.
No, this is before the money. This is like 1982 when he was doing it.
You don't know that.
Yeah, I do.
He was happy that people were doing his ish?
Yeah, because at least he's not alone.
Yeah, well, and they're extending his legacy, right? When somebody does your move.
Yeah, but he would use other people's moves. He did. That's how he started. He had to. He created the ground ollie, And dude, he created the kickflip. He created, he created a lot of stuff, and he was just happy when someone was using it.
So he created foundation, right? He was the father of somewhat of a style, huh?
He's the father of street skating. People would say he's the father of street skating inadvertently because he was a freestyle skater. But inadvertently, he created street skating because without those moves, there would be no street skating, right? Because the ground ollie is the thing that gives street skating what it is. You know what I mean? While everyone was doing handstands on the skateboard, he created the ground ollie, and that was able to, like, if you want to jump into a curve, if he didn't create it, then no one could jump into a curve and do a grind, right? So he created a lot of the stuff that is used in street skating, and he's happy about that. But if it was created before him, he wouldn't be upset. That's the thing. He's a true scientist. You gotta check out Rodney Mullen if you want to know someone who is altruistic about his movement.
Was he futuristic about it?
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, he does TED Talks with aerospace engineers, man. Like, he's on that level. He's studied like that. He's an introvert. He practiced by himself in Gainesville, Florida. He never interacted with me. He's an introvert. And he created all this stuff. And I was like, I need to be more like that than like, I'm the fucking man. Oh, I'm going to prove myself. That didn't do shit for me. And it still doesn't. The more I got to Rodney Mullen, the more my skills went up because my ego died.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I just tapped my mic for some reason. Okay, cool. Nice, man. So, awesome topic.
Yeah, I mean, we went off a tangent of the thing, but then, if we're talking about training, man, like,
yeah, we're talking about
that's one thing that, like, we haven't really, we touched upon it, but I think we really went deep, like how to segment your practice with the, like, you know what I mean? Because it's important because, like I said, I learned all of this later. You know what I mean? Because I used to practice exactly what we're talking about. I used to go to like 4 sessions a week, go to all the practices, but my skill set was not getting better. It just wasn't. I was like here for 10 years. I was here. Think about that. And then I noticed when COVID happened, this happened. I was like, oh, why? Because I'm by myself. Oh, why? Because I could pay attention. Oh, why? Then I was like, all right. Then I applied all the other stuff with it, and that made it even go higher. You know what I mean? It went this trajectory went like this with my skill set and my stamina and my training.
Yeah, you're putting yourself in a position. When you say that, I mean, there's a lot to talk about that as well, man. Like being able to train and be motivated by yourself.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself in a position where you're reliant only on it's an internal thing, right?
Yeah.
You don't have outside validation
to
motivate you. You don't have other people blowing it up to give you, kind of that, that chemical release that makes you want to go harder, right?
Yeah.
Cool, now I want to go hard. If you have it within yourself, that is the most reliant and the most consistent source of energy and motivation. So that's important. And now that I'm reflecting, man, I rarely have those because I'm at a point, I'm not competing or nothing like that, but I'm like, oh, okay, man. And it could be my lifestyle and, all the different things I balance. I need to go to a session for me to, if I come home after a long day, I'm like, but at the other end of this resistance that I'm avoiding, I know it's progression and I know it's growth. So thanks for bringing that up, bro.
Yeah, man. No, because we talked about your boy. It all started from the CBD ad. But then your boy going 4 days a week. He's like, why does he have to go 4 days a week? Yeah, that made me question. And you know what? I tell a lot of people that. I tell a lot of people, like, they're like, I practice. I was like, you don't have to. Like, why? You know what I mean?
Well, the reason why, and it's a weird thing. Like once you get to a certain skill level, a high skill level, now it's like, oh, okay, if I get an air flare, if I can't do it every day of the week, I don't feel confident doing it in a battle, which isn't a bad mindset. But there's a mental thing to that, right?
It's not a true statement, though.
No, but there is truth to it. It's not a.
You don't have to do it every day to maintain. You could maintain the muscles to do it.
But in high pressure, if it's something you do every day,
and that's why it's like you have to. But if you were to segment it, you could see it better. You know what I'm saying? Versus this fear of like, oh, I'll lose it.
For sure.
You
Yeah,
know
it's
what I mean?
a safer way, and especially when you tie in the visualization, right, to the slow positioning, creating a tiered process to a specific move, or whatever it is.
That's gonna be more productive for sure. Like a tiered process. Exactly, it's a process. You know what I mean? Like until it's like introduced into muscle memory.
I challenge you to.
Mm-hmm.
You like posting, and I like watching because I'm motivated by you, man. I want you to show your tiered process for what you're doing, man, with the air flare.
Okay. I mean, I do it on my stories, right? Like I'm on the grass, and you'll see me do it from a handstand. You'll see me try to do it from a swipe. You'll see me try to do it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But hey, I mean, yeah.
That would be a good hot take. Boom. Soundbite or us, and then it breaks to that because it's.
Oh, okay. Word. Yeah. And that's why I try it from different angles, because if you can get it from different angles, then then you have
did it in a battle too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did it. Yeah.
And then boom, that'll be the last.
and then put it when I did it in a battle.
Yeah.
Word. Yeah,
anyway,
you should see the process. Yeah.
40 minutes later, we have some stuff to talk about. Fathers of style. Who the hell are we, Pro, to even talk about the fathers, aka the foundation of this signature characteristic of this artistic?
Who are we? You're asking who are we?
Yeah, we're saying, hey, guys, listen to this. This is the origins of style, the origins of foundation.
What do you mean? What question is that? Who are we?
I don't know. I'm just jogging or just creating dialogue.
Who are we? We're one of the only ones. How about that? Like, who cares?
Hey.
We're the only ones that care. How about that? Ain't that messed up?
Well,
we're the only ones that care.
People know these things.
Do they?
They know.
All right, name someone who would know.
A lot of people from Rocksteady would know, because Rocksteady they do. I mean, to a certain year. I know you're gonna say that already. Oh yeah, to 80s or 90s, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
I already know you're gonna say it. So let's just go with the New York heads that I know. Nemesis. I know he's doing a lot of digging. I know Ken Swift. He's doing a lot of documentation and digging as well. I'm leaking things out there, and it was on my BTR Breaking podcast that he was speaking about this. But he's talking to the people, and he was there from almost the beginning as well. So people like that on the West Coast. I know Friction's doing his thing where he's kind of doing a little bit of digging as well. Could be limited, but what's interesting and why I put myself out there is because what I know about you, Pro, is you've traveled, you've spoken to the people, you've done your digging, you've done your research, you've spoken to the people here.
Flex right here, real quick. This is a flex real quick.
Here we are. And I'm so excited about this infographic right here. I mean, not too thrilled on
the design. Not too thrilled on the design.
But we'll fix that.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. I had to do it quick. I'll be honest. This is a freestyle from this morning.
Okay.
I did this at 10 a.m.
So go ahead. Go ahead and read from bottom up, however you want, in the order that makes sense for the people who aren't watching. But just tell them the names we got right here, Pro.
Okay, so to continue from last week, right?
Yeah.
Which was like we started with the Herc dancers, which was Trixie, Saw, Dancing Doug, Bobo, Clark Kent, the twins, and then we went to from there we went to like Mike G, Charlie Rock, Beaver, like the Zulu, the Bronx River guys, Grandmaster Dix T, and then on the other side of that was Track 2, Spy, Crazy Commanders, TBB. Now we're getting to where we're going right now. So then so where we left off was this part right here. But then I made a little bit of adjustment from last week. But this part right here, like last week, I had it as Floral Masters and 7 Deadly Sins on these two. They became New York City Breakers, so I just made a New York City Breakers right here, right?
Yo, let's add that again though on the next revision, because this is a work in process right here.
Yeah. This is generic. I'm being very general. right? This is general information, right? It's not as detailed because I added the Four Masters and Seven Deadly Sins became New York City Breakers, and actually Magnificent Force became New York. Icy Ice was Magnificent Force, and he became New York City Breakers too.
So we got to put that.
Yeah,
I think it's important that we have the middle transitionary crews, right?
And then right here we have Dynamic, right, from Queens, and then Rocksteady crew. So this era was like about the era of like Star Wars, Wild Style, kind of that era, right? Like now it's like in the media, but it's mostly New York, right? So this is around 81 to 83, we would say this is, right? Because that's when B Street, like these people, like Dynamic wasn't in B Street, but New York City Breakers was in B Street, Magnificent Fort was in B Street, and Rocksteady was in B Street, right? Like if we go look at Star Wars, it's mostly Rocksteady and or Dynamics in Star Wars. If we went Wild Style, it was just Rocksteady. So this is that time period. This is when it's getting spread all around the world, right? The first hip hop tour is Renegade talked about, and this is where it's like this is where Hollywood came in, and this was what created the push in the early 80s. And that's why in the timeline, all right, so when I say New York City Breakers, now we're talking Air Force crew in LA. Now because we're talking worldwide now, right? We're talking LA Breakers, right? And then the hip hop tour from the Rocksteady time and the movies, you have Paris City Breakers. Now I don't remember the original crew that Storm was in or Swift Rock's in. I just put Battle Squad, even though they're early 90s, they were still influenced by this time period. Battle Squad. Then in the Bay Area, you had Sidewalk Breakers, but there were still crews like Rock Force and Renegades back in the early 80s. But I put Sidewalk just because like they were the last in the 87. Now I put another B-boy, which I do have clips of, Ozrock. Ozrock was from Rhode Island, but he moved to LA and he started working and building with Air Force, which is over here. Even though he was from the East Coast, right? He moved to LA and he was in that Hershey's commercial. He was in the movie called The Pilot. Even though he was an East Coast guy, he practiced with these guys, LA Breakers and Air Force. He went to the Radiotron in the 80s. Then I put Rocksteady because they were a continuum, right? But another crew I put was Incredible Breakers, which was Float, Chino, Sammy, and they were the last in the East Coast, from what I heard from Wiggles, to achieve certain types of power moves, right? They achieved combinations before it died, right before it died. When Quick Step was still breaking and still staying in it, when Storm came to New York in the early 90s, he went straight to Float, who was Incredible Breakers. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like the left. I know there's other crews for sure, but I just want to be very general because now we have Europe in this sector. We have LA, West Coast in this sector, and we have New York in this sector too. And this is right, we're talking right before it died, 85. So we went from like 81, 82 here, 83, 84, and then right here is about 85. Right here. And we need to make a better graph of like the time period, but this is the tree. We're just looking at the tree. We're just looking at the influence. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, man, I like the Ozrock. It's important to know that Ozrock came from the East Coast and was influencing the West Coast foundational presence, man. Right?
He was a part of it. Well, from what Caesar says is that even though like they were doing Windmill 90 back in 85, this is what I'm hearing. But I'm about to show a clip of something that he has, and I showed this on the trades earlier this week. But I think and mind the whole thing of him doing this in his underwear.
Oh my god!
But Ozrock actually doing a munch mill.
Minimal air resistance, right? Sometimes.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it was the 80s. He was trying. He was trying. He was trying.
Minimal wind drag.
Yeah. Okay. The history tree is so cool. Would we have some dates? I'm still working on that.
Dates.
What about the breakers at 80 Pier 39? Not just yet. We're just talking about, that's why I brought up Sidewalk. Again, there's other people that did it, but we're talking about influencers. So I say influencers. So here's Ozrock. He's gonna be doing a munch mill, and there's receipts because Storm thought he created the munch mill until he saw this video. So here's Ozrock.
Breaking on water. These are called baby windmills.
Oh, dude.
Which are the windmills that are fastest because you're using less space, and the gravitational pull of the Earth allows you to go faster.
Yo, listen to him talk physics right now. I love that.
Dude.
He's thinking about gravity as he's doing this
track
move.
Like
all right.
This.
Okay. And enough of him in his underwear.
Yeah.
But I just say.
Wait, so hold on. What did he say? Something about the gravitational pull of the Earth makes you go faster?
Yeah.
What was the cue that he gave for that? What did he say right before that?
He was just talking about basically tightening it up so that way he could do some of these moves. Actually, let me show this move.
Pulling into your body's center, right?
Yeah.
Especially in regards to the baby mills, doing baby mills, right?
Yeah.
Lunch mills, popcorn.
It's funny because the way Storm said that he created it, he thought he created it. He got it from going from head spin to windmill, but he was doing a crunched head spin and going to windmill. So I think. So I don't quote me on that. I think that's how Storm thought he created munch mills when he did it in the early 90s. But then he saw this video and was totally brokenhearted because he thought he made it up. And then here's this guy in a G-string doing it. Like,
yeah, that's another kind of thing to pay attention to. Right?
It's like that. This is like the biggest receipt for Storm. Like, damn. Like, okay. Like, I didn't make it up. Check this out. And
So also predates Battle Squad is what we're saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
So
check this one out.
Is
boom.
No
he did this back. Yeah. Look at that.
Oh, and he did a side spin. Really bit from Storm.
Yeah. So that's the thing. He did the Cortez or the aerial back then. But Caesar was talking about doing this back then too. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so Caesar and Ozrock are kind of the same era.
Yeah. So even though Ozrock was older than Caesar and them, it was just kind of like they're all like working together. You know what I'm saying? So I do have footage of that too.
Nice, man. That's incredible footage.
So I have footage. Go ahead.
A lot of people were creating moves at the same time, right?
Yeah. So it's hard to say what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I played this footage on the trades too earlier this week.
It's a natural thing. It's a natural phenomenon. I'm going to go that far and say phenomenon with it because when you understand your body and how it can move with ease of movement, right? Your body subconsciously understands the laws of nature in regards to movement. Your body's whatever the thought process is while you're doing it. Yeah, it's a common thing that people create the same type of movements. So that's another kind of controversy within breaking, right? Is
because then that's where it's like, how do you now we talk about biters and stuff like that. It's kind of like it's hard because it's really at this point it's a race who can pull the receipts. Do you know what I mean?
Or who can advance it? Because it's the one that has the rudimentary and foundational understanding. Right? They have a move. And they're able to use it as a foundation to build other moves, right?
So this is actually a performance in LA. It's a Buck 4 from Rocksteady, Kuriaki from Rocksteady, and Oracle from Air Force and Ozrock. So they're all together.
The way if you're able to do power, especially mills, backspins, whatever, without a jacket or some sort of a protective layer, you really got it good, man. That means you have minimal friction, right?
Yeah.
And you have a lot of friction, you peel your skin.
There goes Ozrock. You just kind of demonstrated the aerial or the missile. He's wearing the Bruce Lee Game of Death suit too. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, nice. With the single stripe.
Yeah, and of course you got Orko. Come on, do a head spin, Orko. Yep.
With that helmet.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
And you can see, let's see if we can find that classic routine from Buck 4 and Kuriaki right here. I love this routine with Buck 4 and Kuriaki, the Rocksteady. Wait, no, it's not
Wait,
it.
Ozrock is in this season? Nice.
Yeah, Ozrock, Buck 4, Kuriaki, and and Orko. So you had Air Force, Rocksteady, and Ozrock.
Nice.
Okay, where is that?
So this is East Coast and West Coast, kind of like
yeah, it's like a East Coast, West Coast performance, right? It was probably in Hollywood somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I found this footage, but I'm happy I found it. Wait, do they do it here? Yeah.
What do you
here
call
it
that?
is.
I think
This is the Rocksteady routine, the performance they did. Boom, 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 bump, 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 boom. They did this in the Buffalo Gals video and the Up Rock video by Rocksteady. Boom, 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 boom.
Tight.
Rest in peace, Buck 4 and Kuriaki, man. All right. So right there we saw kind of the timeline. If we look at the timeline, that was that era of just when the media was, super influential.
Let's go back different direction with this. You're showing another clip?
We don't have to, but yeah, go ahead.
So let's talk about the style evolution, right?
Uh-huh.
When we say father of style, it started from staying up top, right? The Herc B-boys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Evolving to going around, and then evolving into somewhat of a gymnastic influence, right? Gymnastics, capoeira.
Yeah. Track two basically was in gymnastics. I know Spy could flip as well, so they probably brought in those elements into breaking, right? And at the same time, like just like as far as culturally too, a lot of the African Americans slowed down from it, right? Charlie Rock and them slowed down from breaking. More of the Puerto Ricans picked up breaking, so it became more intricate, became more daring as far as like more spins, like stuff like that, right? Flips, spins, adding flares, adding all that type of stuff. That's what the Puerto Ricans brought more to, right? Because now they discovered cardboard, using cardboard and spinning. You know what I mean? What's that again?
Technology, right?
Yes.
That's first like primitive technology, right?
Yep. Because all of them were like, all the original B-boys, Fuji, all these guys are like, cardboard? We were in concrete. They
weren't spinning though, right?
Yeah, they weren't spinning. No, they weren't spinning. But it was more the Puerto Ricans that are like going on their backs, right? They said in the Freshest Kids.
What about suicides? That was kind of early on. We've seen.
Yeah, that was definitely early on. You know what I mean? That was definitely early on. You know what I mean?
So like to see people develop like different sides. I just seen a kid. It was the BC one. I forgot his name. Forgive me and excuse me for that. But he did a backflip and he landed in that side suicide.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
So typically you have the front flip and the splat, right? The pull through splat.
Yeah.
I've seen like Rocksteady, kind of some of the people doing that. Pull through splat. Whatever you want to call it. But he did a backflip almost like a air, and he twisted sideways and landed in kind of like that sports, cold chilling, little side phrase. That's one of the movement pieces that I love to see people still kind of coming back.
Yo, Jay, you're kind of breaking up.
Check microphone check.
You're coming in. You're coming in super grainy right now.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Now, how about now?
A little bit better. A little bit better. Keep doing it. Keep doing what you're doing.
I'm talking about suicide. Like the kid.
Dang.
That is it still?
You're coming in like a robot dog.
That's not good. Let me try something real quick.
Right. So as Jay's adjusting, what we're gonna do is like to show kind of the time period. We're gonna show this Frosty Freeze clip, and you can see where the Puerto Ricans were making fun of his style because they were like, "That's old. What are you doing?" But those are the original freezes.
Grumpy, including myself, because in one of the scenes where we were just joking around, you know.
So when like Frosty holds on to that with Charlie Rock, Mike G.
It started in Freeze's house. Oh, shut up! His mom used to break. She's all acting his own.
Don't be talking about my mother now.
So it didn't originate in your mother's kitchen.
Nah, that was just a joke line. But you know, whenever people talk about Star Wars, that's one of the first things they bring up. Oh, you acting stupid now. I have to, you know, give a lot of
Because he was holding on to the original style what Charlie Rock and them were doing. Very, look at his hand placement, flat hand.
This, as everybody knows, is when you have a headache. We film.
I definitely got that. All those birds right there.
Yeah, so you could see where it's like, you know, the original style kind of looked more like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it looked more character, right? Because like if you watch these guys go, right, they're already doing like bridges and like freaking backspins and windmills while he's like humping the floor. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so obviously like from that chain of Spy, Track 2, TBB, Crazy Commanders is where you see the Rocksteady guys starting to do all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? They're starting to like do combos. They're starting to like, you know, chair freeze both directions, you know, baby freeze both directions. It became more scientific, right? More intricate, you know what I'm saying? So you can kind of see that.
They have to suspend their bodies a little more, yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than have their whole body on the ground.
Right. And again, the music is different too. Electro's there. So it's like it gave you a little bit of a different drive. So okay, so we saw Ozrock. I wish there was footage of Incredible back then, because I heard from what Wiggles talks about, their combinations in the mid '80s were like next level. You know what I mean? And then there's other names like German. Like there's this legendary name from New York, a b-boy named B-Boy German, and supposedly he was doing crazy shit in the East Coast, right? And then, this is what you hear, Caesar's talking about, like, they're doing, you can see where like Caesar developed the aerial from being around Ozrock, right? Like he would do missile, windmill, missile. That's when Caesar did that in the 90s because he couldn't do it in the 80s, right? Or the aerial, right? What they call the aerial, which is the double rotated windmill off the air, right? Where it's like a missile. Yeah. He was talking about like he couldn't do it in the 80s, but he was able to do it in the 90s already but you can see the progression from Ozrock. Ozrock was kind of doing it in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Here's another crew that from the 80s, but wasn't known, but influenced the Bay Area, Sidewalk. So let's watch some clips from Sidewalk. Again, this is all a product from that breaksploitation era that we talked about. But I will show how advanced these guys were in the 80s. I remember I showed Flea Rock this stuff, and he was tripping out. So
85, you're the Hawks, baby.
Yeah. I need some good stuff like this. All right, yeah, this is remember this is 85, so this is the same time. We're talking about the same time. As Ozrock and as Buck 4. So this is...
Oh.
Yeah.
So we're having...
Homeboy did a gainer back then, you know what I'm saying? Like...
And the way he'll set up like a kick through, he didn't walk into this.
Yeah.
That's kind of dope, man.
Yeah. I believe this is Sean Ortiz. Like I said, this is 85.
That's Superman's. I love Superman's. So
like, compared to everyone else we saw, you know what I mean? I think this is Money B. I think this is J-Rock's brother from Style Elements. Look how he looks like Crazy Legs. Like, he moves like Crazy Legs, but it's not Crazy Legs. Yeah, he can windmill flare.
Looks like Crazy Legs, but dresses like who?
Huh?
Who was doing those like speed suits right there?
Look at that. Boom. Bam.
Oh!
Dude. 85, bro. Bay Area was like on some shit.
Yeah. What, those speed boosts, those were incredible breakers, or who's doing? No, New York City, right?
Yeah. Look at this guy. So you can see where Sway from Floor Rockers, why Renegades in 95 was wearing the tights is not because of New York City Breakers, because they want to be like this video. When you see Jazzy J wearing the tights. Look at that. Windmill 90, 85. Look at Cyclone. Flare 90. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh.
Dude.
He can't crash. When you understand your body like that, and understand control in rotation, you cannot crash.
And what's crazy is this was like old sidewalk versus new sidewalk. That was this whole battle.
Oh, he did the shoot. Oh, man. Oh, got out of control a little bit there. Now, a lot of Rocksteady influence, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's like, when did Rocksteady get power? You know what I mean? Like, it was like...
I guess Mauricio got down. Easy rock.
All right. So they do a flare competition. We don't want to see that. So
what does Ivan come into play in this timeline is what I want to know. When we talk about West Coast influence.
What's that?
At that point, the West Coast was influencing the East Coast, so it's coming back, right? The influence.
So that was a... Say that again. You're coming in and out.
Oh, no. Check. Can you hear me?
Yeah, say it again.
So where does Ivan come into play?
We're not even there yet. That's 91, 92.
Okay, because I know the influence went back.
Yeah, that's in the 90s. That was in the... I would say Air Force had a bigger impact in the 90s than they did in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is like... We're talking like... When we saw that video Sidewalk, that's when Breaking is about to... It's basically dead to the mainstream. At that point, 85, it was basically dead. They were like treading on like that was the last leg of Breaking in America anyway, in America specifically. So the crazy part is the West Coast influence came because of that video, but only because the second generation of guys, like second generation Renegades, second generation Rock Force, Air Force. This is like when the West Coast had its day. Was the early 90s.
See,
so this, and like I said, this when I pull up this this timeline, right, this family tree, this is about 82 to 85. We're not even talking about the 90s yet.
So we're seeing the introduction of a more rounded style to what we know today with Breaking's formula, right?
Yeah.
Moves, right?
Yeah.
Power moves are advancing rapidly right in this era right here going into the 90s, and people are mixing up sweeps, flows.
It's almost like, think of it like as a big reset. Like after that period, it went back to zero. In America, it went back to zero. It went because there was a whole generation that was like 5.
Who in this era right here? Because I know in the 90s, the reset and the whole regeneration of a dynamic style without power moves. Was that being done right here in 85 to the rest of the 80s?
No.
Was anyone able to move dynamically without power moves?
No.
Okay, cool.
No.
Just interested, and it's something that I might want to look into more a little bit. Because when you get into the 90s, that's when you have the invention, I guess.
That's why, and we talked about that on Gearhdz. We talked about like where it became more hip hop. At this point, it was electro still.
Well,
it was still like
the Ken Swift, right? The reinvention of Ken Swift, where
that's when he made his name. His name in the 80s wasn't as big as in the 90s, and I would say the prime Kenny was 96,
where he's implementing I like to call it a running style, athletic, where he's moving, he's rotating here at the torso and the pelvis, but the legs are staying linear, nice and sharp, creating nice, structurally sound positions that is aesthetically dope, but also functionally powerful, fast, controlled.
That was like Kenny made his name at the summits, at the B-Boy summits. That's when he really solidified his name. It wasn't in the 80s. You know what I mean? It was definitely in the early 90s, and it was specifically Summit. That's where he really made his name.
Dope.
Yeah.
Cool. So we went from the shrine recap right now real quick. So pull up the tree, don't mind, bro.
Yeah. Not 96, 98, 99. No, it was before that, because that's when Kenny was battling a lot, like in ciphers, meaning like, you know, when Imperial JBs came to Summit, Kenny was holding it down with Flow. Then when Style Almonds called out Rocksteady at Summit 96, then it was mostly Kenny with the Adidas suit. That's when everyone was like, oh shit, this guy's fucking crazy, you know?
What about the anniversary? What about
Huh?
that battle?
Zulu Anniversary?
Rocksteady Battle Squad, yeah.
Yeah. But it was like, you know, then you had like, you know, like that's when the Flea Rock was eventually supposedly in that he was at that jam. But Mauricio was sticking out. Like it was more of the Europeans, like, who are these guys? Like Battle Squad, these guys are crazy. All right, so yeah, go ahead. My bad. So you were saying you wanted me to pull this up?
Yeah.
Shit. Speaking of Kenny, that's Kenny in the cover of Rap Pages. Shout out to Stoneski for sending this over to me. That's the cover of this thumbnail. To see how
at a record store. I think my brother also B-Boy, the big broski, that magazine, bro.
yeah, dude.
Record stores, he gets things like that, and I think he might still have it.
Crazy. I was looking for that because I wanted to use it as a thumbnail. So shout out to Stoneski for sending that to me. I was like, yo, I was like, I'm looking for this cover, and he found it. I was like, hell yeah.
I like that look right there. It's a little more skater, right? You got the jersey, shorts, big shorts like that. So hold on, we're not seeing is below that, right? So the Herc era B-boys, right?
That would be, they would be way down here.
We see it up starting from up top, right? Mark dancing, people in the door. We got gymnastics, you know, more.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up. Say that again.
Can you hear me, bro?
Again? Say that again. Hello? Hello?
Check. Microphone check.
Okay.
Check. Profo check.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So just a quick recap. Let's wrap this up before we get into next episode where we get into the 90s.
Yeah.
Starting from up top, right? The party dances, it hits the floor, people one-upping each other. That evolves into the more rotational movement, sweeps, spins.
This era right here. This era.
Yeah, that is right there. And then it's just being brought to the next level when we talk about LA Breakers, Air Force,
Ozrock, yeah.
Squad,
yep.
Sidewalk Breakers, Ozrock, they're mixed in. Everything, right? We're seeing more of the breaking, more of the tops, hitting the floor drops, right? Footwork, power moves. And then to finish off mentioning that topless, incredible person, Rocksteady crew, which is my primary influence and historical background.
Yeah, maybe the next episode will probably go into 91 right here. Probably go into 91 to, exact to 96, maybe 97. I think that's a good place to do that.
So for those who are listening right now and who will be listening in the future as they reference this video in podcast form, did we miss anything in terms of?
Yeah, let us know, man. Let us know.
Your feedback definitely goes a long way with us formulating this infographic right here of the development style, the breaking style. And what we mean by that is the movement foundation, the people involved in it, up until, would you say this is up until the late 80s?
85.
85 in the late 80s.
Nothing. Didn't exist in America.
It existed around. People were still going Battle Squad. They were
in America. The only one that was doing it in America was Quickstep, and that's it.
On the West Coast. Yeah, right.
No one. Nope. Done.
I don't know. We're gonna have to.
No. Everyone confirms it. Little Caesar confirms it. Willpower confirms it. They confirm it. No one was breaking. Zulu Gremlin confirms it. 86 in America. Just Quickstep was one guy.
Incredible Breakers.
Done.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that and how we can rearrange this trigger here.
Well, this is, like I said, this is 85. This is up to 85.
Okay.
Yeah, this is 85.
Exploitation era, right?
Yep.
Because 85, what movie is it? Real quick, let's talk about that as we're wrapping up.
What's that?
Breakin, didn't that come out in 85?
No, 84.
84?
84. Beat Street and Breaking came out 84. Breaking started to get into the mainstream around 82. So it was on TV and stuff like that. Flashdance was 82. And that was like Rocksteady made their names from that movie was Flashdance. That was 82.
Okay.
Yeah.
How can our listeners, included, what can we do with this infographic right now? And what comes to mind is, was that influenced by any people right here? And the answer for myself is, yeah, Rocksteady crew. And I'm looking at trade back, right? Because that's one of the ways of not only being responsible in the culture, but also understanding my style and developing myself further is tracing back to the original source. That's kind of a common theme, and one of the things that we would like to encourage our listeners and check ourselves is, how do we get to the original source of my motivation, my influence, my movement base, to understand, and again, to further develop my style within this art. Was I influenced by LA Breakers? Was I influenced by Air Force Crew, Battle Squad? And it goes, it's not linear to the thing, right? And what I mean by that is, look at Rocksteady. What I understood, one of my good homies, Iron Monkey from Renegades, and this kind of blew my mind, is he said Easy Rock, who's one of my main influences, was influenced by, he trained with Battle Squad and Storm and them, right?
That's later. That's 96.
It's later, but I'm just giving thought processes, right? As we're looking at this infographic, and tracing our style, right? That's how I'm doing this and using this. I trace my style back to the original source. Can you add to that, Pro? Our listeners gain value from this, right?
Like my you mean my path to it?
Sure, you can use that as an example, but any of your students, any of our listeners, how can they use this right here?
Well, I mean, for me, like I said, we created this because no one has, I mean, Wiggles has done it, right? But not in a family tree style. He did it in like a timeline. My whole thing is, if I were to look, like, obviously I came after this, right? Like, I was like, when this happened, I was 10 years old. It was already dead. So my only reference was actually these two crews right here, Rocksteady and New York City Breakers. That's it. You know what I mean? So I didn't know any of this stuff till the 90s. I didn't learn it because I would have conversations with people and they would tell me, and it'd be different people too. And we're talking guys that are like 10 years older than me. Like, I have these conversations. At the time I was 20 years old, and I was having conversations with 30-year-olds that were around in this era. And they would tell me, and I would just try to imagine, like, I talked to this one Jazzy J's friend at the bar, and he was just telling me about Ozrock. I was like, who's that? It's like, this dude, Ozrock. He's like, and I kept hearing the name. Then I would ask mad people. I would ask Caesar. I would ask Willpower. I would ask, I would ask some of the sidewalk guys. I would ask, and it's like, who's Ozrock? It's like, oh, he's the guy in the pilot. I was like, I remember that when I was a kid. You know what I mean? I remember that coming on TV.
Do you have access to him? Do you follow him?
Oswald?
Yeah, do you have connects with him?
He's passed away. Rest in peace.
Oh my goodness. What year?
I think probably early 90s.
Wow.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if he was alive, he would definitely have a say. I think people would hit him up. You know what I mean? Like, at this point. Because of that footage.
Was he in a crew of some sort?
He claimed to be Rocksteady when he went to LA, from what I hear. Legend has it that he claimed he was Rocksteady, so that way it would make it easier for him to get work. But I don't know if that's true or not. That's a rumor. That's not confirmed. That's just a rumor. But he was on his own, and Air Force, Caesar and Will confirmed, and Orko, and obviously he danced with the Orko, confirmed that they used to be around him. He was older, but they were younger, but they were around him.
Let's get Caesar up on here. Let's try
100. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. And he could give you probably more, more information about how they met him.
Yeah, let's reach out to him. Let's try and get him on the next as we move forward. That'll help us refine exactly, this infographic that I feel is highly valuable.
Because he could probably give way more detail on the West Coast for sure in this time period. Dope. Like he could talk about, because what I don't talk about is Shake City. Shake City they influenced Air Force and LA Breakers, and they were an LA crew from the early 80s. That
Shake City.
Yeah, Shake City.
Tight.
Yeah. So, and then Zulu Gremlin has a lot of information because even though he was from Colorado, he was around LA in the early 80s too. And he could talk about guys like a guy named Baby New York. There's a B-boy in LA called Baby New York. And again, maybe we can get Incredible and they could talk about what Float did back then. And they could talk about German. So obviously, Rocksteady, everyone knows Rocksteady's history. Why? Because they were the ones in the mainstream, the main guys pushing it. Mm-hmm. But there's this story that Incredible has that no one knows, except for maybe what you call it? Damn, I'm messing up right now. Lino's crew.
Oh, Floor
Lords. They probably know the stories. We could talk to Lino. He could talk about German. He could talk about what Float and them.
So hold on, Floor Lords isn't even in this timeline yet.
Nope.
Whoa.
Maybe they're in Boston, around here.
Yeah.
But they weren't Floor Lords could be here. I just put Sidewalk because that's the crew I know and I have footage of it. You know what I mean? The earliest Floor Lords stuff I have, they're doing early 90s hip hop dancing. So they're not even breaking, and that's the early 90s.
Yeah. Let's try and get Caesar, Zulu Gremlin, somebody from Incredible would be dope as well, and then maybe somebody from overseas.
Yeah. Nico, I have access to Nico, but he doesn't speak English.
What about Storm?
Yeah, we could get access to him, but I gotta tell you about that. It's gonna be a little bit difficult, but we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're
coming in clear now, man. What's going on?
I don't know. I don't like that. I know. I got a text saying that my screen was frozen.
Yeah.
That's pre-recorded.
Now you're good. You're good now. You're perfect now, dude.
Oh man, my audio keeps breaking up. It's horrible.
No, but dude. Whatever you're doing now, that's what we gotta do. Whatever's going on now.
I don't know what's going on now. Shucks. I will probably see if it's my internet. That's probably the first thing that I do. And you know what? The next one I might do it at the shop actually.
Oh, word.
At Zen World. Yeah.
Word. Yeah.
It might transmit a little better. I apologize everybody for breaking up. If you guys have any questions, please interact. Please leave it in the comment section. And
shout out to Kobe, the first up and comer announcement. February, San Diego. Yo, to Kobe.
We got the assassin, the Guamanian, or I guess tomorrow. I'll use the proper term. Assassin over here. This guy's a straight assassin killer.
There you go.
Full force crew, Kobe. he hypes me up. This kid right there, man. Everybody be on the lookout for
Easy Rock, aka B-Boy Access. If you want to know Easy Rock, he's gonna hate me for that. If his original name is B-Boy Access, I got footage of him in '92.
Oh, bro, I love that name, Axis.
Yeah,
Bro. I mean, that's
B-Boy Access. What you know about that? I do my homework, y'all. I do my homework. Now, so before we wrap it up, what were you saying earlier? Now that you're clear, now we can hear you and see you. We see your beautiful face. Boom. Okay. What were you saying about? Because you were saying about Rocksteady and the styles and something like that. I couldn't even hear you, bro.
I don't even know. Well, I mean.
You're saying like the timeline, something about the timeline, like
well, that's Rocksteady and the styles. Hold on, it's coming. No, I mean it's not linear, right? At a certain point, people are coming back, and Rocksteady is early on because of the breaksploitation, right? That's all. They
were the first. I would say Rocksteady was the first, and then when it died. And it came back in the 90s, they were the first to push it again. They helped rebirth like everyone in the 90s, early 90s.
For sure, but it was that breaksploitation, right? The before mid 80s, we should say, that through Hollywood spread breaking, right? People in Europe, people in
honestly, you know who was more popular was New York City Breakers was more popular than Rocksteady.
Fair enough. So yeah. That's an interesting kind of direction with that. I'm just saying that I heard from Iron Monkey, the homie, that Easy Rock, one of my main influences, was influenced and trained with Battle Squad. There was this European and American kind of cross influence, right?
Yeah, that was before. So if we pull up footage of Easy Rock in '92, because he didn't hook up with Storm and them till 95, 96. So that's when he went there. Because like prior to that, so again, you know, maybe we should get into this to the early 90s, but
yeah, we can save that for the 90s. I'm just saying that.
Yo, Oddmar said the hip hop shop. Yo, you get points for knowing that.
I don't know.
Oddmar 760. Hip hop shops where it all restarted again for LA Breakers, Air Force, and Easy Rock, and Zulu Gremlin was the hip hop shop.
Yeah, I know it was mentioned in several episodes, the hip hop shop.
Yeah,
and I know you get excited about it when people bring it up. You're like, yes, you know about that.
Yeah, that's with Iceman. Iceman was at the hip hop shop. Who runs Homeland right now? The practice out there in Long Beach.
So it was a retail store. I understand that basically what people could break there, or it's just a
it was a store where they sold like fat tips. They sold like graffiti magazines, you know, like aerosol art, like early tribal gear. You know, that's why I was like the hip hop shop, right?
That's tight.
This is proof. Right here, how big.
We had something called the Rec Shop back in Hawaii, and I'm talking like the 90s, where you got all the tapes, you got the tribal gear, the belts, fat laces, tips.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cassette, the Qbert mixes.
Yeah. They did the presidential inauguration. So there was 2 presidential inaugurations when Ronald Reagan won twice. One was with Rocksteady and New York City Breakers, and there was one with New York City Breakers. Just New York City Breakers. That's how you knew they were popular. But this is Soul Train.
It was one of the first like mass like social validations, right? They're over here, the most prestigious televised event, right? So you can imagine at a certain point, the elders they're kind of changing their perception of it, right? It's no longer something that is being done on the streets. And, you know, kids up to no good, they're like, wow, there's value to this, right?
Yeah.
Look at these people moving athletically with ease of movement.
Yeah.
They dress in unison.
Look at Lil. So that's why when we watched that Sidewalk video, we're like, yo, how come they break like that? But they got better power moves. Just shout out to Action, New York City Breaker. So, Action's originally a floor master. Lil Lep that just came out, he was originally a 7 Deadly Sin.
Okay,
Icy Ice, Magnificent Force, made up the Ninja.
What crew is this?
New York City Breakers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But then
throwing so
yeah.
many names, I gotta keep up.
So New York City Breakers is made up of 2 crews, which is the Floor Masters and 7 Deadly Sins.
Yeah.
So this is Glide Master. Ooh, comments are going crazy. Hex One. Yeah, there you go. Dude, this guy knows what's up. He said it was owned by Hex One, the hip hop shop. Odd Mars 760, giving you props. Kid Nice right here.
Yeah.
Actually, there's footage online somewhere of the hip hop shop.
Do you know this guy Odd Mars?
No, I don't.
Yo, Odd Mars.
Give me your shout out.
Yeah, put your shout outs to you. You know, much respect for contributing to the information right there, man. Sounds like you're definitely from the older generation and era. That, or you're just a responsible student. Maybe a combination of both. But yeah, man.
If he knew Hex, then he was there.
Hex is one of the breakers here.
No, he's Hex is owner of the hip hop shop.
Yo, so it's raw, right? The style is super raw right here. But what the evolution of style in terms of the topic of what we're talking about, fathers of style, is we're seeing the footwork mixed up with the power, right? Yeah,
at that point. Now check this out. Now I'm about to blow you away right here. Look at them 3 years earlier.
Who's this?
Floor Masters, New York City Breakers versus Rocksteady.
Yo, what footage are you pulling up right now?
Dude, come on. Come on. Look at that.
Yo, real quick, we're talking about Incredible Breakers. I got to talk about B-Boy Flash from Incredible Breakers. He is a historian that has – you're pulling up tapes. You're reminding me of him because he has all these archive tapes of the European coming to America, all the East Coast, like, underground practices where
look at that. Look at you know who this guy is right here? You know what his name is?
Is that Crazy Legs?
Little Crazy Legs.
Oh, dude, yeah, wow. I can barely see, but just how
dude,
tight.
So this is New York City Breakers before they were New York City Breakers.
It looked like Crazy Legs' legs. He got that real tight and nice like movement base.
I believe this is Kid Nice right here.
So just barely any powers, and they'll drop to their back, if anything.
Yep.
Right?
This is why New York City Breakers became New York City Breakers, because they were better at windmills just a little bit more. So they created like the whole power move movement. Look at Kenny.
Kenny, yeah. Yep. So he had that style forever, but look at it. Love it, man.
He does I think in one of these clips he does the 1990, the original 1990.
I was gonna ask, when did people start? I mean, was it the capoeira influence when air freezes?
No, capoeira didn't come till 93.
I was talking to Nem. He's like, nah, it's synonymous. There wasn't a capoeira influence. I'm like, I don't know, man.
1993. Nah, it's confirmed. They not until like we would see the capoeira influence after KML, like around that time, that era. So that's 96, 97.
Definitely heard a story about that.
Yeah.
KML and the capoeira.
Yeah.
The capoeira showdown.
Look at Take, man. Look at Take, young Take. Look at them. Yo, look at them, man. Look, see, they have the Floor Masters on their back too, right? Right there. You can see their shirt, Floor Masters.
Yo, the iron-on joints, right?
There you go. Look at Crazy Legs. Now that's Crazy Legs. Oh. I believe this is at the Grills.
Snappy direction change.
Yeah, boom, boom.
Super in the pocket, dude. With his steps and his positions.
I think that's, who is that? Is that yeah, that's early windmills. I think that's Action or Chino. Maybe not. Actually, Action is probably the first guy. So look how advanced they got in, like, if this is like 83, look how advanced they got in like 85, bro. Or maybe this is 82.
No one's doing a 6-step too, right? No one's like actually
no one's really doing it.
More like shuffle.
Yeah.
Shuffle kicky type.
Look at the top rock, bro.
Yo, dope rotation, bro.
But no wonder why Charlie Rock and them didn't like this. It's like, what is this shit?
It's too segmented, you think? It's being a lot more segmented is what we see, right?
There's no dancing, you know what I'm saying? They're not really like doing little things, you know, they're just kind of like going.
Yeah. The foundational base, everyone's somewhat doing the same thing. There's nuance to it.
Yeah.
But what we've seen is Yeah, Crazy Legs had a lot better posture.
Yeah, right. He was advanced.
He moved
He
a
was
little
advanced.
better. Yeah. Well,
He was
moved a lot.
advanced.
Yeah, he was upright in his front forward position. He wasn't falling back, and it made him look lighter.
Look at Mr. Freeze.
Oh, Mr. Freeze had dope mechanics too. Like, oh, sharp and clean that was.
This is Action. So we just saw Action do a coin. Like he was like one of the first to do coin drops on screen. But look at him like a few years earlier.
Yo, is this a battle?
Yeah, it's a battle.
Dope.
It's a battle. Floor Masters versus Rocksteady.
Who's this?
Buck 4. Yep.
No direction change, huh?
No.
Not very much direction change.
That was sold in the 90s, man. That's what I'm saying. Like,
who's this?
I don't know. I don't know which one is this, but maybe he's not around. He doesn't. I'm not because I've seen Kid Nice. We've seen Action.
That's dope that you can spot the names out like that.
Little Crazy Legs is killing it though, man. Little Crazy Legs is fresh. You could tell like they were like, we need someone that's like Little Crazy Legs. Let's make Lee from Beat Street. You know what I mean? Look, they barely had drops, bro.
Yeah. To the bridge.
They had those bridges.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So when we look at Kenny. Kenny looks advanced too, though. Kenny looks advanced too. He has a better fashion too, man, to be honest.
Oh yeah. I like it. He's not flooded out in one like color. He got contrast going on.
That's the night there. He just did the 90.
Nice.
He just did the 90.
Also inwards 92, man.
Yeah.
He's kind of slanted. You know what I mean?
You could tell when he went down into the windmill, or the backspin, he did this.
And the fit that he has is versatile. It's not too athletic, right? It's not too radical. You could rock it anywhere.
Yeah. So
to chill with.
Yes, Michael Holman. So Michael Holman ran the grills. And this is the battle, the Freshest Kids battle. They talked about like, we want to be more athletic than Rocksteady. This is the battle. What the footage you just saw of Michael Holman wanting, that's why, remember, New York City Breakers weren't called New York City Breakers. That's Michael Holman. Michael Holman made up the New York City Breakers. They were the floor masters. See what I'm saying? So Michael Holman made up the name New York City Breakers. Why? Because he needed a more commercial name. Because it's New York City Breakers versus Floor Masters or the 7 Deadly Sins.
Yeah, look at the difference too, real quick, before we move on. That last clip of Ken Swift right there. Look at his control.
Yeah.
What he's doing, right?
Yeah. It's different.
He mentioned that he has an athletic background in soccer. He played soccer coming up. And people that run, there's a lot of value in running. A lot of people, they have their opinions about it. And obviously there's the extreme of, doing marathons and grinding your gears. But yeah, look how good he moves, with the running.
Yeah, check out. This is only a few years after. Look at how clean they are now. Look how developed they are now. This is only like 2 or 3 years after that.
Well, they got technology.
Crazy.
They got spin technology, right?
Yeah.
They're like, hold on, let's cover our elbows. Let's cover a little deeper down.
Dude.
Now we don't have any stiff clothes on right now.
Yeah.
We have maximum mobility with minimal friction, right?
Yeah.
This is like the first, we can talk about the looks of it, right, all day, but this is the first of breaking technology.
So you saw Kid Nice in that video. Look, even just his top rock and his footwork alone looks better, right? So that's what I'm saying, like crazy, bro. So this is like when even like New York City Breakers, you think of the name like with Nico, Paris City Breakers, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Shake City. What did you say in Cali in the West Coast? It was
Shake City. Yeah, that was like the early '80s crew in LA that Caesar would talk about. Caesar, Baby Huey. They talked about Shake City.
Back in Hawaii, there was a crew in '82 in Kauai. Not even the metropolitan Honolulu where the capital is. Kauai country. There was Jam City Rockers.
Oh wow!
82. So the city.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's funny, right?
Yeah. So okay. I don't know.
My battery's about to die.
Oh, shoot.
I think we're set pretty good to get us into the 90s in the next episode. Let's consider getting maybe Caesar, Zulu.
Yeah, I could hit him up. I could hit up Caesar for sure. I have his number. He texted me the other day.
Sick. So if you want to continue on with this, Ritter, any last before my my battery dies here?
Yo, thanks for for everyone paying attention. I think it's just important. I think what's dope is that some of the viewers knew who I was talking about, and we were actually one of the first on a YouTube podcast talking about this stuff. I think that's really dope. And of course, if you want more information, you can follow us on Instagram at Gearhdz Breakcast right here. And if you want to go in depth, this Monday I'll be having Donkey, I hope, this Monday on the trades. So you can check that out with the ProfoWon channel.
Sick.
And where can they find you, Jay?
They can find me in Las Vegas, the city of entertainment. That's where you can find me personally. If anyone's ever out here, please reach out to me. Either through here. You can also go to Instagram, Facebook, at BTR Breakin. BTR Breakin without a G. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Or this is my my personal High State Rocker, HI from the High State, Hawaii State Rocker. Yeah, feel free to reach out. I welcome anybody to contact me. We can talk. We can chill. We can eat some Hawaiian food.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And real quick, again, we're going to shout out the sponsor, zinworld.com. Get 15% off. Go to the website. Use the Gearhdz promo code and get 15% off of a drop, nano drop, or a roll-on. Pretty good when you want to rest and recover. Again, you can find me at PROFO_FLGZ on Instagram. And again, 65% of you are watching, but you're not subscribed. Help the channel out. Help us get better backgrounds. Help us get better sound. Help us get a crew together, because it's just me, Jay, and Roman. Like, that's it. Like, that's what, we're doing the editing, and hopefully, huh?
I said Jay needs internet.
There you go. There, yeah. See, look, help out, man. Help out. If you want to hear staticky, click subscribe and like.
Cool, bro.
This has been Gearhdz. Episode 19, Origin of Style, Breaking Anthropology Part 2. Coming up next week with Part 3. Peace. And see you guys later. And we out of here.